Nelson Mandela. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice, all for the freedom of their people. The fundamental concern for others in our individual and community lives would go a long way in making the world a better place we so passionately dreamt of. Resentment is like drinking poison, then hoping it will kill your enemies. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you see problems from different angles. It always seems impossible until it's done. Many people in this country have paid the price before me, and many will pay the price after me. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up. Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. It is in the character of growth that we should learn from both pleasant and unpleasant experiences. It is not our diversity which divides us. It is not our ethnicity or religion or culture that divides us. Since we have achieved our freedom, there can only be one division amongst us, between those who cherish democracy and those who do not. For to be free is to not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. The critical, independent, and investigative press is the lifeblood of any democracy. The press must be free from state interference. It must have the economic strength to stand up to the blandishments of government officials. It must have sufficient independence from vested interests to be bold and inquiring without fear or favor. It must enjoy the protection of the Constitution so that it can protect our rights as citizens. It is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership. Where globalization means, as it so often does, that the rich and powerful now have new means to further enrich and empower themselves at the cost of the poorer and weaker, we have the responsibility to protest in the name of universal freedom. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have passed through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. Let freedom reign. The sun never set on so glorious a human achievement. Any man or institution tries to rob me of my dignity will lose. Unlike some politicians, I can admit a mistake. Our single most important challenge is therefore to help establish a social order in which the freedom of the individual will truly mean the freedom of the individual. The blind pursuit of cheap popularity has nothing to do with revolution. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. I felt fear myself more times than I can remember, but I hid it behind a mask of boldness. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. It is never my custom to use words lightly. If 27 years in prison have done anything to us, it was to use the silence of solitude to make us understand how precious words are and how real speech is in the impact of the way people live and die. Difficulties break some men, but make others. No axe is sharp enough to cut through the soul of a winner who keeps on trying, one armed with the hope that he will rise even in the end. Few things make the life of a parent more rewarding and sweet as successful children. The truth is that we are not yet free. We have merely achieved the freedom to be free. We have not taken the final step of our journey, but the first step on a longer and even more difficult road. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. The true test of our devotion to freedom is just beginning. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made in the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. Those who conduct themselves with morality, integrity, and consistency need not fear the forces of inhumanity and cruelty. You sharpen your ideals by reducing yourself to the level of the people you are with, and a sense of humor, and a complete relaxation, even when you're discussing serious things, does help to mobilize friends around you, and I love that. Death is something inevitable. When a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. I believe I have made that effort, and that is, therefore, why I will sleep for the eternity. It is in your hands to make a better world for all who live in it. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Overcoming poverty is not a task of charity. It is an act of justice. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. There can be no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to helping others without expecting anything in return. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. One of the things I learned when I was negotiating was that until I changed myself, I could not change others. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination, but when you add that to a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. I am fundamentally an optimist. Whether that comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed towards the sun, one's feet moving forward. There were many dark moments when my faith in humanity was sorely tested, but I would not and could not give myself up to despair. That way lays defeat and death.